Hey there, welcome to the next episode of the Personal Branding for Professionals video podcast. As a part of this series, we spotlight powerful personal brands across the globe to inspire today's professionals. I'm your host, Ketaki Vaidya, and today's video is about finding the story behind your story and living that. Joining us today is Hollis. She is a speaker, writer, and content creator. The meaning behind her work is to make people feel Journey 5 alive by approaching their careers, relationships, and life with optimism and energy. Rebecca's insightful and relatable thought leadership, coupled by her infectious personality, has attracted the attention of thousands of people all over the world. So without any further ado, let's get started. Welcome, Rebecca.
I'm really excited. Thank you for asking me.
So, Rebecca, we are going to get into the what, how, and why of personal branding, definitely. But before we get there, I want to understand about your journey. I want to understand how the mission of giving this Journey 5 alive happiness to people, how did that come into being your mission?
Yeah, of course. So I'll tell you a bit about my journey, really, and a bit about how I got there. So there's a little bit of context. Sure. So I have always been a really hard worker. I've been very ambitious all my life. I've done some really incredible jobs, worked with incredible people. I've worked with Saatchi & Saatchi, the big brand advertising agency. And I think I realized in my 20s, in my late 20s, when, I'd achieved a lot, that really the corporate life wasn't for me. And although I was successful, I didn't feel personally successful because I wasn't particularly happy going to work every day. I didn't feel I was working with the right kinds of people. So one day I kind of said, I've got this job, but, what am I going to do? Am I going to do this for the rest of my life? And I sat there and went, probably not. So I decided that I've actually been in cheerleading for most of my life. Since I was 10 years old, competitive cheerleading. And I decided that I wanted to work in that industry. And I was like, I'm really passionate about cheerleading. I absolutely love it. And I'm sure that I'm going to be able to contribute. I actually ended up working in the industry, but as a result, I got the job, the dream life, really, for anybody when they're able to achieve their dreams and get the job of their dreams. And when I got there, I realized that it actually wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And the dream job that I thought that I was going into wasn't as great as I thought. And I ended up working 7 days a week, all hours. I was up when China was online, and I was up, when America came online, and I really I burnt out. So I ended up burning out, unfortunately. And this was about 4 years ago. And as a result of that, my confidence went, and it was my professional confidence. So I had this burnout, and I don't know if anyone knows much about it, but having a burnout, it depletes you as a person. And it's not so much, it's very physical. A burnout can be lots of different things. It can be physical. I actually had, my hair was falling out. I had problems with my stomach. But also it's psychological as well. A lot of the issue with having burnout is that there's a psychological, and what it did for me was it damaged my professional confidence. Mm-hmm. So I went from being someone who was very, very self-assured, knew my worth, knew my value, to someone who didn't want to put themselves out there anymore. And I didn't want to put myself into a professional position anymore where I became vulnerable again. So the last 4 years, although I've been on I've been ticking along okay, I've never really put myself back out there. But what I have been doing over those last 4 years is I have been investing in myself. So I have been reading, and I've been doing lovely workshops and meditating, and I've been doing some really great personal growth things, but the actual professional side of things I kind of left on the back burner. And it was only until the beginning of this year that I was like, I'm kind of ready. I know that there's more inside of me. I know I've got more value to give. And I felt that I was not doing myself justice anymore by not actually going out and giving value and doing something that I really cared about. I was holding myself back. And I think I realized that quite early on this year. And then the lockdown hit, the pandemic hit. And I all of a sudden had all this amazing time to myself because I was doing a job previously to that where I was, you know, head of sales. I was very busy again. It wasn't a job that I was particularly passionate about, but I all of a sudden had a ton of time that I was able to go, okay, who am I? What do I want to do? What can I bring to the table? And I had all of this past 4 years, I had all of this self-development that I'd been working on. And what happened as a result, that I all of a sudden stepped into this place where I had time and energy to manifest, and everything started. I was able to implement all of these things. I had time to do it. And lockdown really, for me, gave me that opportunity to say, what do I want to do? And that was when I started realizing I do have value. I do have more to give. There is a place for me, what I should be doing. And I started posting on LinkedIn maybe about 5 months ago now, so during lockdown, and it kind of took off for me. So that's where I've been. That's sort of been my journey to get to this point at the moment.
And that's a very interesting journey. You've talked about all the highs and lows that you've had, but one thing that stands out to me is how you have made the most of this lockdown. Because a lot of people today, we are constantly complaining. We are saying that 2020 has to be erased from our life, but a lot of us have also found ourselves during this pandemic era. So it's a beautiful thing that you took out the time and you took out the courage to go down that unconventional path, which not a lot of us can follow. And it's also this difference that we bring, that what we do versus who we are, that has to be aligned with each other. So it's good that you slowly started finding yourself, and that you're inspiring others to do it too, with your posts and all of your content and all of your workshops.
You know, I think it's really important, and that's something that I would love to highlight, because I know that it's been a very hard year for a lot of people. You know, I do not detract from 1 second that this has been a tough year. People have, you know, potentially lost loved ones, the most important. Their lives have changed. You know, their businesses have potentially gone under. Things are very, very tough for a lot of people right now. But equally, there has been a lot of positives. We have had maybe a time to press the reset button, which is what happened to me. You know, I've been made redundant. I got made redundant. Yeah. So a lot of things in my life changed. I actually bought a home, and all of a sudden we went into lockdown. So I had a ton of responsibility. I now didn't have a job, and it's what you make of it. And life really is about perspective. Yeah. You know, two people can have a very, very similar experience, and one person can be having a great experience and the other one will not be having such a great experience, all based on how they see it. And you're right. So lockdown for me, although incredibly challenging and heartbreaking, it gave me that reset button, and it was a really valuable moment in time for me, and I think for a lot of people as well. And I think a lot of people are going to look back on this time and go, I see now that that time was really valuable. Actually, I know a lot of bad things happened, but when we look back on it, it is going to be a good time where the world changed for the better.
I agree with you, because this year has been, it is filled with uncertainty, and we've seen a lot of negative events that definitely we are not very happy about. But definitely we've gotten this time to take a pause and see what were we doing, and was it making sense, and then try and correct our trajectory so that we are going down the right path, right? And we don't get those opportunities very frequently. So it's very nice that this year has been a blessing in disguise, I would say.
This happened to you as well. You know,
I started this series in this year, and it was only thanks to lockdown that I found so much time, that I had this in my mind. I wanted to do something for the community, and then I thought, why not begin? I always had this prerequisite set in my mind. Okay, when I get to the next level of my career, I'll do it then. But I found out that it is not going to happen unless I decide that this is the moment, this is where I start, and then I'll see how it goes. So, and I'm happy that opportunities like these have connected me to people like you, who are bringing in so much positivity and who are supporting me in my journey too. So that means a lot to me. Thank you for taking out the time today. So, brilliant. Yeah, one thing that when you talked about personal branding, you said that you have just started about your personal branding journey. I want to understand, what challenges did you face along the way, when specific to your personal branding journey?
Yeah, so I'll tell you how I got started, because I think that that's the hardest part. The hardest part of anything is making a decision and sticking to it and starting. Because like you said, there's always an excuse. I'll do it tomorrow, or my job's a bit busy, or my family need me, or so there's always an excuse not to do something. And I think what lockdown did was it said, there's nothing else to do. You've kind of got to do something. And all your excuses flew out the window. So at the very beginning, the last 4 years, I've got to admit, I've been quite mute. And I've been mute because I lost my confidence.
Yeah.
And I don't feel I can be anything apart from who I really am. So if I'm not allowed to be my authentic self, then I'm going to be nothing online at all. So that's really what happened to me. I stopped posting online. I didn't post any of my thoughts. I didn't do any videos. I absolutely did nothing. And all I did was work, enjoy my life, but I wasn't in control really of how my personal brand was online. I didn't have a personal brand. And I decided that I was going to start posting online one day. I just went, now's the time. I've made a decision that I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm in control. I haven't got a company telling me who I am, who I need to be, and what I should be doing. It's now all up to me. And I have an opportunity to press that reset button. And I had an opportunity to press the reset button with my brand. And when you think about a brand, I think that there's a misconception that there's you and there's your brand, but you are your brand. So if you are not being completely genuine and completely authentic, then there's going to be a mismatch, and people are going to know it eventually, because eventually you are going to trip up, because if you're not your authentic self, then you are going to trip up and people are going to know it. You're going to meet people and they're going to be like, you're not like that. You don't speak about those things online, or you don't talk in that way on your videos, or whatever it might be. So being your authentic self. And so from day one, I was my authentic self. And my very first post on LinkedIn, I decided I was actually going to use LinkedIn because I didn't want to go out on Instagram, because I didn't want to be posting selfies and pictures of myself and writing stuff underneath. I kind of felt that wasn't, what's the right word? Although I don't
appropriate.
With people that want to do it, it's not a problem. But I just didn't feel that if I had a message to give, me posting a selfie wasn't the right thing for me with where I wanted to go. So I decided I was going to go onto LinkedIn, and I started posting. And the first couple, I was a bit, I didn't really know what to do. But then I actually posted a couple of things, and then I spent probably about 3 weeks listening, because I watched what other people were doing and how other people were posting. And then I got my confidence, and I was like, you know what, I can do that, and I can add a bit of value there. And I started going out and posting, and also starting to post on other people's their comments, and commenting on their stuff as well, sitting in people's inboxes saying, hi, nice to meet you. And as I started to write more and more things that were conducive to where I was going, and people were liking what I had to say, the confidence built. And the one thing I will say about starting is you actually do need to start. You can have all these strategies in place. You can go, right, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to create a podcast, and I'm going to do this. You just need to start, but you need to make sure that you're starting in the right way. So taking a step back and saying, right, okay, what am I going to do? Who do I want to be known for? And actually get going. And I think once you start, and you end up attracting the right sort of people, because if you're talking about things that aren't authentic to you, you're going to attract the wrong sort of people. But if you're saying things that are truly authentic to you, and what you want to say, and what you believe in, and all these things, then you are going to attract the right sorts of people, and then that energy builds, and then your tribe is there. And then, before you know it, for me, I've now got a tribe of people online. I've got thousands of followers of people that kind of share my values. We don't always have the same, but we have the same sort of core values, because right from day dot, I decided that I was going to write about what I cared about and what was important to me, and what I wanted people to know who I was.
Yeah, and you make a great point over there. And as you said, it can be very exhausting to live someone else's life. So what you were doing, I think initially when you were feeling very low in your life, it was because you were trying to be someone else. But when you started being your true authentic self, then it became very easier for people to resonate with your content, and it was also easier for you to attract relevant network to yourself, so that those people could keep you accountable, they could support you in your journey, and you could do the same for them. And that is very important, to have a support system when we are getting started, who can hold us accountable every time we want to give up and just go and hide somewhere. And then these are the people who bring you back on the track and then continue to motivate you to keep going, right? So that's a very important aspect. And finding the why of our brand, that is another important aspect, because we have to get started, but we also have to know, when we get started, we also have to be very sure of our why. So what are the strategies that you would share, which can be helpful for anyone who's getting started and wants to find the why of their brand?
Yeah, so really before getting started, or even if you are started, it is a really good practice, and I post about this quite often, to sort of pause and actually go, rather than just go in and
Right.
get started. Now you do need to get started, but in the same breath, you also need to go, okay, right, I really need to figure out who I am and why I'm doing it. And a lot of people get their purpose and their passion mixed up. So for passion, so for me, my passion is cheerleading. I love competitive cheerleading. I can talk about it all day and all night. I'm very, very passionate about it, particularly Team England. And, I absolutely love it. But I don't wake up every day and my meaning of life isn't cheerleading. My meaning of living isn't cheerleading.
Yeah.
So my purpose, my meaning for living is I want to live my authentic self, and I want other people to be able to enjoy their life, live in joy, and absolutely enjoy being who they are.
Yeah.
Not having to be somebody else. That's what I wake up every day wanting. I want everyone to feel Johnny Five Alive. I want everyone to feel good. So the Johnny Five Alive thing came about by me saying, I think I wrote a post and I was like, I've got so much energy and I feel Johnny Five Alive. And it's something that me and my friends used to say. We've said it for years and years and years. And I think it came from one of our dads. And I later know that now it actually comes from a TV show, but that's not why I said it. Johnny Five Alive came from being really excited and energized about something. So when you're feeling so amazing and so good and you've got so much energy, you say, oh, I'm feeling Johnny Five Alive.
That's a very nice term. I'm going to use that too.
Saying it makes you feel good. I feel Johnny Five Alive feels amazing.
It's an emotion, I guess. It's not just a term, it's an emotion that you can convey, right?
Yeah, and it's exactly that, and it's an emotion, and there's something behind it. But your purpose and your passion are two different things, and half the reason that I had that burnout, it wasn't necessarily the job, although it sort of was, but it wasn't necessarily the job. It was the fact that I got this job and I really loved it, but I was like, why am I doing it? What's the purpose? Where am I going with it? How am I going to change the world with it? And what's my contribution to this? And then I think that's the two different things as well. So when you're looking at your why really is, what's the meaning behind everything? You can say, well, my why is my family, but your family isn't your why. Your why would be your family, but your why is
spreading love, maybe.
Yeah, your why is, I want to create an environment for my family where they feel safe and they feel this. So it's not just your family. There's a thing that maybe you want them to feel safe, or you want all these other. So there's a lot of reasons behind it when you look to find your why. It's more meaningful rather than what your passions actually are. So what I did was I was like, right, I kind of know what I'm passionate about. I do a lot of things. I love the gym. I love this. I know what my passions are. But what deep down do I really care about? And I did an exercise, which is really easy to do, where you write down, who am I? Which is actually a really, really hard thing to answer. So what I did was I took probably about 2 weeks and I kept adding to this list. It was, who am I? what value do I have? Who do I like hanging around with? What are the people that bring the most value and the most joy to my life? And what things do I really care about? And answering these questions, saying like, these are like asking yourself really deep and meaningful questions that are actually quite hard to answer. You're calling yourself out, really. You know, really, what do you really care about, Becky?
Right.
You know, what is all this for? Why are you doing that? So you're asking yourself all of these questions, and this will start to help build you on the path of understanding where you're going, what your why is. And you need to know all of these things before you start creating a brand, because people buy into why you're doing something, who you are. They're not buying into what you say unless you've got a reason and a meaning behind that. So people can say, oh, you know, they can talk about a subject, and actually it's really cool and really important. But if they haven't got a backstory or some passion behind what they're saying, then it hasn't got as much value as if they were saying it with gusto. They believe it. There's something behind it. There's a reason why they're saying this. They've got a story attached to it. They've got emotion attached to it. So hopefully that sort of helps give you a bit of an idea on how to start this personal brand journey. And it really is as easy as sitting there and calling yourself out on a few of these questions. And I'm happy to give these questions to you so you can write these in the
Sure.
comments.
Yeah, that'll be very helpful. So you can give me those questions and I'll link it in the description of this video so that people can go check it. And yeah, there can be a lot of frameworks for finding out the why of our brand, but ultimately, as you said, the answer lies within us. So we have, before we get started and before we dive into this entire process of building our brand and then maintaining it, before we get into that, we have to take out some time and take a step back, understand what is it that we are passionate about, what is it that is our purpose, and we have to align the why of our brand to the purpose. And your answer to this also answers one of the other questions that I had, which is that can your field of work and the why of your brand, can they overlap? And again, it drills down to whether your work is your purpose, right?
Yeah.
If it's your purpose, then it becomes your brand.
Yeah. So I was saying, really, your personal life and your business life, there should be no difference. The problem that I feel why we have these burnouts and why people are doing things that are not conducive to where they're going, the reason why they're having this, and this is happening, that they are burning out, or, you know, they're going from job to job to job, is because these two things, you are one person, you are one soul, you are one heart. And to go out and do a job that doesn't mean anything to you, has no purpose or no meaning apart from it's going to make me money, it's going to keep a roof over our heads. Now, these are all really important things. We all need to look after ourselves. We all need to look after our families. You know, everyone is in the same boat. But we can do these things as well as. Now, when you see people that have made lots of money, if you look at entrepreneurs that have made lots of money historically over the years, what they end up doing is they make all of this money and then they move into a field where they find meaning. For example, you know, the people from Microsoft, they have foundations that they now run. There's a couple of people from Brewdog that they are in sustainability. That's what they care about. You know, they're not sitting there saying, we're the most passionate people in the world just about beer. We also care about sustainability. And that's where, you know, their meaning of their company and the meaning of their why is that they want to create something that's sustainable and look after the planet. So when you're looking at things like a job just because it's got this money or just because you can get a nice car out of it, those things will not carry you through. You've got to think, will this still be what I love in 10 years' time? Will I still want to jump out of bed in 10 years' time and do what I'm doing? And I feel that now, with what I'm doing at the moment, I'm in a place where I do want to jump out of bed and make this happen. And I do want people to feel a certain way and be able to kind of self-soothe when things happen and have all the tools in their toolkit to be able to get through hard times because they've invested in their personal growth.
Yeah, and I think we all have these milestones that we set for ourselves, that we have to do well professionally. We have to get that next promotion, next hike, everything. All of those things are good. They're definitely necessary and they keep you motivated. But at the same time, you have to be able to take out some time for yourself and work on yourself, work on your personal growth, find out what you're passionate about, find out what is the purpose that you want to tie your existence to, and then get started on that journey too. Because once
there's no problem being ambitious. I'm ambitious, you know, even though I said I was super ambitious in my 20s, I was ambitious in the kind of the wrong way. I mean, it's normal to be like that when you're kind of young, but my ambition now is it's servicing a different purpose. My ambition now is going towards something good, something more meaningful. So ambition is great, and wanting to work your way up a job or wanting to start a new company, you do have to have that ambition inside of you, but it's where you're channeling it. Right. Because if you're channeling it in the wrong direction, that is when you get tired. That is when you wake up and you're exhausted. That is when you wake up and one day you have a burnout. And so that's why you need to make sure that you're doing this initial work and asking yourself these tough questions and saying, okay, what do I care about? And that's when you're going to be able to go on a different type of journey that's more meaningful. And you can,
and it looks very overwhelming at the beginning, because it's like, how would I start by building my brand? And then there are so many platforms. How would I build my online presence? And how would I find who I am? It's very overwhelming initially, but I think once we set out with that intention and we give it some time, and if we are consistent, I think we can definitely make that. It's going to be a very long journey, but in the end, it gives you a very different sense of contentment and belongingness. You feel like you've earned a place in this world and that you really belong here. And that feeling is very important, which otherwise, if you're simply working blindly and if you're not very passionate about everything that you're doing, it is very exhausting. So we definitely want to choose the path which is going to be a little difficult, but in the end, it's going to pay off, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So one thing that I want to understand from your journey is, when you started your personal branding journey, what were some of the misconceptions that you saw around the field of personal branding? What do you think people generally have this mindset, or they have certain misconceptions about it, and how did you mitigate those?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't want to go out and pretend to be something I'm not. And actually, when I first started online, I was quite excited. I was like, do you know what? I'm brave, and I've all of a sudden started to speak online, and I'm talking about things I really care about. And I actually said this to a friend, and they said, oh, you're talking on LinkedIn. And I said, yeah, no, like most of the stuff I'm doing is predominantly on LinkedIn. I like the platform. I like how it works. And they said, I don't think you're doing the right thing. That's really for if you're looking for a job or recruiters. And I said, oh no, I said, the landscape has very much changed over the last few years, which is why I felt comfortable being able to be myself on there, because it was very formal before. It was very uptight. And I remember once I posted on there and I thought it was something amazing, and someone wrote underneath, you forgot the comma. And I was like, really? Really? I've just posted something of value and you're saying you missed a comma. So actually, that actual thing that happened there, that did put me off for a while, not posting something, because, I'm not a hugely corporate person, but that doesn't mean that I have not got a lot to give. I don't have a ton of value. I'm not smart, I'm not professional. I just might not be professional in a really sort of traditional corporate way. But nowadays, what LinkedIn has done for me it's made me, I'm allowed to be who I am and give the value and share my knowledge with other people in a way that is authentic to who I am. And I think my friend's advice was well-meaning, but unfortunately, it wasn't correct. It didn't hit the target. And you are going to get a lot of people that will, when you first start posting online, especially the people that you know, they're going to do it for two reasons. They're going to say, don't do it. And the first reason is they love you so much and they don't want you to do something that might hurt you or might ruin your confidence. So that's what a couple of my friends did. They were kind of concerned that they didn't want me to put myself out there. They saw me after my burnout before, and they were very cautious, and they loved me a lot, but almost too much. And then there's other people that are used to you being a certain way. And when you start living from your authentic self, they don't necessarily feel comfortable with you changing the narrative of your relationship. And they can also be a bit jealous. So when you do go out online, you have to have conviction. You can't listen to what other people are saying. Definitely. So it started off being that way at the very, very beginning when I first started going online, when I first started getting things going. People had a lot to say for a little while, maybe for the first couple of months, but nobody says anything now that my network has grown and that I'm helping other people and other people are helping me. So just stick with it and be consistent with what you're doing, because that's going to get you from point A to point B. You're not going to start off really well, listen to what everyone else has to say and revert backwards. That should never be an option for you. So if you're going to go into it with your whole heart, and be authentic. And I promise you that you will eventually find your tribe online.
Yeah, and I totally second you on this, because I feel that personal branding is about sharing our story. So when we share our story, it has to be the authentic version. We cannot formulate a story that's not ours. And we have to be able to put ourselves out there without the fear of people judging it, because I'm sure that there are, no matter what we do, no matter the perfect post that we put out there, there's going to be someone who's not going to like it or who's going to try and discourage you. But at the same time, you'll also find people who don't know you, but only know you through the value that you are adding, and they're supporting you in that journey. And these are the people that you have to stick to, and these are the people that will keep you going no matter how hard it gets. And some days it'll get very hard. I can totally understand. Some days it's like going to the point where it's showing no results at all, and you feel that everything that you're doing has no meaning at all, and you think that you want to stop and go and hide somewhere. But when that happens, we have to remember that there are also these small wins along the way, which have to keep you motivated and which you have to remember and be grateful for. So that keeps you motivated to keep going. And as long as you're bringing consistency, that path can definitely be
and you're absolutely right on that bit, that one of the things I say quite a lot is not everyone is your person. You are not here to make everybody else happy, make everybody else feel comfortable. Definitely. You are here to be you. And as long as you're you, you'll find your tribe. And it is so true what you said. So really at the beginning, when you're a little bit nervous, when you've not got your confidence quite there, if someone says something even remotely negative, but you've had, say you've had 100 people say, that was great, thank you for sharing. And one person says, yeah, don't really get it, don't agree with it. You end up thinking about that, and you end up thinking about that all day. Now, over time, I now don't think about that anymore, because I just say to myself, that is not my person. That's not the person that I'm going to want to work with. That's not the person that I'm going to want to partner with in the future. These are not my people. Not everyone on this planet is your person. And when you look at some people and you go, oh God, thank God they're not my friend, or thank God they're not in my family. So you don't need to be everything to everybody, and you don't want to be either. You want to just have your core group of people, your core group of friends, and who you surround yourself with, whether you are a brand online and you're going out like I am and creating content. You want to be able to attract the right kind of people to you. I don't want everyone to be on my team, on my online team, because because I want the people around me that share the same core values, that still pull up on things or still want to add value to things that I say, or maybe make me think a different way. That's absolutely fine. But what I don't want is people coming into my little world and into my network and disrupting things. So that's not what I want. I want to be able to create a really safe environment online that people that I'm in, that not just for me, this is my network. If people are commenting on my stuff regularly, I want them to feel supported and looked after, and that their ideas matter, and I will not let anybody come in and disrupt that. So
and this is a very good metric to identify who you want in your network and who you want to eliminate right away. And there can be people who disagree, and there is a healthy discussion around that can happen. But at the same time, there are these people who set out to simply dishearten you and discourage you, either because they are envious of you, or either because that's their purpose. That's the why of their brand, right? That can totally be possible. So
yes.
we have to be cautious and cognizant about these people, but at the same time, these people should not dictate what you do with your journey thereafter.
No, and as a society, we do care too much what other people think. We won't put this out because we care what our neighbours think. We won't drive this car because we care what the people at our work think. And we're in a society where we just care too much what others think, and we shouldn't. And the second that you drop your guard, I promise you, because I've been in a funk the last 4 years. So I can say to you with some conviction that the second that you do drop that and you say, no, this is who I am, these are the people that I want to hang around with, this is what I want to contribute to the world. The second that you have that conviction, people will follow you and people will join and they will get behind your message.
Yeah. Definitely. And there are these societal norms that have set in, which dictate what we should be doing, which tell us that you have to behave a certain way, you have to act a certain way, you have to follow this path. And they set up these timelines for your life that by the age of 30, you should do this, by the age of 40, you should do this. You cannot change careers after 30. There are these rules that have set in, and which when we try to go to the unconventional path, when we try to take the road less taken, we definitely get a lot of resistance. And it's very difficult because that resistance comes from within too, because you've been trained to act that way, and then it goes against your will, but you still have to overcome all of that. And that's a very important part of finding who you are, because only when you get away from all these distractions will you truly find what you're meant to do. Right.
Have you heard of this saying, keeping up with the Joneses? I don't know if it's just a British.
I've heard about it, yes.
Yeah. So, it's trying to say that you're just trying to keep up appearances, buying the latest car or buying the latest Apple Watch or Apple phone or something like that. And that is exhausting. That is completely exhausting, trying to keep up with everybody, keep up with, and that's another thing that I've done. I know it doesn't have a ton to do with personal branding, but it has to do with who I am as a person, that I no longer say I need to have this car, I need to do this, I need to do that. I'm really comfortable with saying, this is what I'm doing. I'm not coming for a meal today because I'm saving money, or I'm not doing this today. I say no to a lot of things. I'm not buying the latest car when my car renewal comes up. I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses anymore. And that has been really refreshing, because I was in an industry prior to this which was very much like that, but it really wasn't conducive with who I was. Now, don't get me wrong, I love nice things, but that's not the most important thing to me. That isn't why I'm here, to keep up with all these things.
Exactly. When we try to fit in, it can be very exhausting, but only when
and that's what most people are doing. They're in jobs that can buy them a car that makes them look good in front of people that they don't care about. And that is universal. There are people constantly doing things like this. And right now I don't have a huge house. I have a car that's not brand new. I haven't bought a new phone for a couple of years, and I'm saving all my money and I'm doing all of these things because what matters to me is my why. And I was saying to you earlier that I make sure that I have my why up on the wall. It's up on the wall in here right now. I've got it actually on the wall in my bedroom, in my bathroom, and I have it in my office as well, because I want to know I want to be reminded all the time of my why. Every decision I make does that align with my why? I go and do things with a friend. Are these friends conducive to where I'm going? Do they sing from the same hymn sheet as me? Are we in the same, are we on the same level at the moment? Is our values exactly the same? And if it's a no, I say no now. And when you know what your why is, it makes life it makes life so much easier. When you know your why, you know your purpose, and you know your meaning, you're able to go out and be authentic and be who you truly are. And that's when you're able to go out online and you have the best shot at having a really authentic personal brand. You know, you can't say I'm this person online without living it authentically offline. That's not to say everyone's perfect, you know, believe me, I'm not perfect. But, you know, I try my absolute best to grow every day and to try and do all the right things with all the right people for the right reasons.
Yeah, and that is about when you act that way, you own your journey. And when you own your journey, there is no other headache that you have in your life, because you are truly responsible for every consequence that follows you. And then you are prepared for it because you know that this is coming your way, but you're still determined to go down the road and then follow your own passion, follow your purpose, all of that. So that's a very interesting point that you've brought up. Rebecca, for anyone getting started in their personal branding journey, especially when they are just beginning and they have a lot of confusion around it, what would your one advice be to them so that they can have an effective personal brand built for themselves?
The first thing I would say is to take a step back. You know, don't panic. Don't think, oh my God, I've got to do this now and I need to start yesterday. So take a step back, take some time out and actually have a bit of fun with it. Sit with yourself and just sort of say, who am I? What do I care about? Who do I love? What do I love? What am I interested in? What am I passionate about? You know, what do I want to sit there when I'm 80 or 90 years old? And what do I want to look back and say that I've done and I've achieved and contributed to society and how I've helped people? So really getting who you are, your why and everything, because that will really energize you. And then from there, it would be to start. You've got to start. You know, whether or not you are working for somebody and, you know, there's a lot of things online where your business or your company that you're working for, you've got a certain guidelines online. That doesn't mean you can't get started. That doesn't mean you can't go out and talk about things and talk about things that you care about. So my advice would be figure out who you are. And be your authentic self. You need to figure out who you are, because then you can be authentic. And then going online with your authentic self and your personal brand and just get started. And let's be honest, we all learn on the fly. We all learn as we go along. I'm learning, you know, every day, and I'm not ashamed to say, and I think one of the things that happens when I'm posting online at the minute is people are enjoying the fact that I know that I'm not perfect, and I'm learning as I go, and I'm sharing my knowledge as I go along. And I think you care, and a lot of people care about what other people think and that they're not perfect, and other people don't. They just want to know who you really are. So figure out who you are and then just go for it.
Yeah, and you've brought some very interesting points today, and the biggest takeaway for me from our talk is this fear of judging people, that people are always going to judge you, but you have to get outside of that fear to build your personal brand, because you can talk hundreds of strategies to build your personal brand, but unless you get out of your fear, unless you get out of your comfort zone and you stop thinking about what people are going to think about you, only then you can do something that you're going to be proud of, and only then you can realize your true potential. And that's very important, because we are often we have these illusions in our mind. We think this is our goal, but we never truly realize what is going to make us happy, what is it that we want to run after. And only when we clear ourselves from all these distractions and sit down and take some time to understand what is it that I want to stand for, what is my story, what is the story that I'm going to share with people, what is going to inspire them. And once you start sharing your story, in your example, it's very clear that it's very evident that it can bring huge impact on the lives of people, and they can be inspired through your journey, because you were once a beginner. You're sharing all your flaws, you're sharing your vulnerabilities, you're being your true self, and that attracts people. That shows them that it's okay, that no matter how many people are there out judging you, there are also people who support you, and that keeps you going, right?
Absolutely. No one wants to talk to a robot. at the end of the day. And when you're able to be yourself, the joy that you feel, the joy you live every day. And that's where this Johnny Five Alive thing has come from, because, when you're living from your authentic self and you're able to go out there and create a brand that is conducive to where you're going, the joy that you feel. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to feel good every day? Who wouldn't want to feel energized? And also, who wouldn't want to share it with other people? Because the more people that feel great and feel good, the better the world will be. And that's really what I want. I want to be able to help people feel good. I want everyone to feel like they can be themselves. And then we can all be on this upward trajectory together and all feeling Johnny Five alive.
Yeah, and I'm feeling Johnny Five alive after this talk, because I've learned. So it's been really great, because we don't talk about these things. We are very afraid to share what makes us so different, share our failures as well. That's very difficult, but you've shared all of that with us, and I know it takes a lot of courage, and you did all of that. You shared your struggles, and you shared how you overcame them. That it's going to be a huge inspiration for people. So I would encourage our viewers to I've linked all your profile and all your work in the description, so I would encourage you all to go follow Rebecca's journey. She posts a lot of authentic content, and I have known her through that. That's how we got connected in the first place. So Rebecca, keep writing, keep posting. It's a very inspiring journey to follow what you're doing every day and how you're growing and progressing in your life. And I love the fact that you share all of it with everyone. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you. You are just an amazing person, and also you have created this channel and you got started as well, and there's so much value to give in this channel, and it's only going to grow for you. So thank you. You've been an amazing support, and we're going to grow together, which is so exciting.
Definitely. We're going to support each other, and we're going to celebrate our wins together, right? And someday, as we said, the people who were the ones who discourage us, they're going to be that person who say that, oh, I know that person.
I love that.
Yeah, we're going to stick to that. Thank you,
Rebecca.
Hello again. If you liked today's video, tell us about what inspired you the most, and what is that one thing that you will start implementing right away to live your story. I'm looking forward to your comments, and if you found value in this video, please subscribe to my channel. See you next Monday.